Hello, public opinion aficionados, and welcome to Rasmussen Reports, the independent pollster whose favorite topic in the whole world is the one that everybody in the media ran from for the last 4 years, and also the one that got us on the government's top 50 list of dangerous misinformation spreaders on Twitter, and probably some other government lists as well, and is also the topic that's subject to a really fascinating shift in public opinion in just the last few weeks. And if you followed us, you know, of course, that topic is election integrity, which is a little bit taboo for YouTube. But basically, what we're talking about here is public opinion facts. And I have some fascinating new numbers. But first, we're going to get into some really great news if you're a Trump supporter. His numbers really haven't looked like this in years. And what we're talking about is a 53% Trump favorability rating. Now, if you're Joe Biden, your favorability rating and your job performance rating actually track pretty close, but because Donald Trump has had so many slings and arrows, he actually outperforms these numbers in his job approval, which is why I think he's going to enter office in January with a higher job approval rating than Joe Biden did. Famously, Joe Biden only entered with 55% in our numbers, even though he ostensibly got more votes than any president in history, but 53% is really, really good for Trump. I really can't remember a time it's been this high. I mean, it was back in 2016. I think it was only 51% at its peak. 35% very favorable rating, and the 39% very unfavorable rating seems like it's kind of hit a ceiling. I don't think I've seen a 40 in a really long time. And so this is just one more reason that I think that Trump has a mandate, because he only got 50% of the popular vote. But with a 53% favorability rating, some people are really open to the idea that he might come in and do a really good job. And favorable beats unfavorable by 53% to 46%. So that's a 7-point spread. Again, he won the national popular vote by less than 2. And across the board, the numbers are pretty great. He's doing really well with men, 59%, 48% with women. That's really good because he didn't get that many votes from women. And a majority of 18 to 39-year-olds have a favorable rating of him. It's only really black voters who are underwater here. Other race voters too, but that is a pretty small subsample. It might just be noise. 42% favorability rating among black voters. Democrats, it's 21%, but Republicans, he hasn't really been above 60% among Republicans. So Republicans are taking a look at what they're seeing. And these numbers were taken after a lot of his early cabinet picks. They love what they're seeing right now. He has not in years been viewed this favorably among Republicans. 65% very favorable rating, another 24% somewhat, for a combined total of 89%. For comparison's sake, Joe Biden's job approval rating is only 79% among Democrats right now. 51% favorability among independents, only 48% unfavorable, 37% very unfavorable. So this is one more sign, in my opinion, that even though the race was relatively close by historical standards, it was a modern landslide. Trump swept the swing states, won all 3 branches of the government, and most importantly, voters are telling us that they see what he's doing and they absolutely love it. They want somebody to come in and upset the Washington, D.C. horse cart, because they've been telling us over and over again they want change and they do not like business as usual in D.C. And also you have the fact that every single one of the tenets of the MAGA platform is overwhelmingly positive, way more positively viewed than Donald Trump even, including mass deportation. But here's what we're going to talk about today: election integrity. And we had some good numbers you may have not seen before. I'm just going to hit the highlights before we go into the new numbers. Voters hate cheating in elections. They think our elections overwhelmingly are corrupt. And there is massive, broad-based, bipartisan support for common sense, I hate that word, but common sense election integrity measures. Should disputes over election results be investigated fully, including the use of forensic audits? 65% say yes, only 17% say no. Across the board, Democrats, Republicans, and independents agree. Should federal election laws require that all votes be counted and the final results be reported within 12 hours of polls closing on election day? Hello, California. 63% say yes, only 23% say no. Even a majority of Democrats, 56% say yes, massive majority of Republicans, 76%. Should federal election laws require the use of paper ballots? 59% say yes, only 23% say no. Again, across the board, bipartisan support by massive margins. So here are today's numbers, and we're just going to do a little refresher. We've been asking this question over and over again about both the 2020 and 2024 election, and we've always had, for the 2020 election, a number between 49% and 60%. How likely is it that cheating affected the outcome of the 2020 election? Now we're talking about 2024. How concerned are you that the cheating will affect the outcome of the 2024 election? And back in July, in our massive first battleground state set, 62% of voters were at least somewhat concerned, 37% very concerned, only 35% were not concerned, only 15% not at all concerned. Horrifying lack of confidence in our elections. And this number was actually as high as 66% nationally and even 70% in some of the battleground states. That's like third world status. Basically, 2 out of 3 voters thought this election was going to be stolen. And it's like 78% of Republicans, a majority of Democrats, 50%, and 60% of independents. Really sad. But now, after they've witnessed a new election, opinions have changed. How likely is it that the outcome of this year's presidential election was affected by cheating? And 32% say likely, but only 17% say very likely. That's a lot better result. So people were paying attention, and they liked the way things shook out a lot better than 2020. Although yet, only 32% of voters say that it's not at all likely that cheating affected this election. So there still are some concerns. There isn't much of a gender signal. There's a really big age and race signal. 42% of 18 to 39-year-olds say likely, but it's only 19% of 65 and older. Again, these people are watching the internet. These people are getting their news from online independent sources. I think that they have their eyes much more open than people who are still watching cable news or linear broadcasting TV. But the people who think it's most likely that cheating affected the outcome of this election, Black voters, 61% of them say at least somewhat likely, 29% say very likely, only 31% say not likely. And Hispanic voters have a lot of concerns too. 43% say likely. It's only 25% of white voters. And it's crazy. The race signal is actually kind of bigger than the party signal. 42% of Democrats think that cheating affected this election, but only 25% say very likely. 47% say it's not likely. So that's like tepid resignation to the outcome of this election. And the 42%, I don't know, the 25%, maybe those are your Starlink folks, people that think that Elon Musk was flipping votes. 29% of Republicans, even though Trump won, still say that it's at least somewhat likely that cheating affected the outcome of this election. Now, I do say presidential election. This might have something to do with expecting to see bigger margins in the battlegrounds, or maybe they're conflating the Senate elections. I don't know. But even though Trump won, only 39% of Republicans say that it's not at all likely that cheating affected the outcome of this election. And independents are most happy with the outcome. 66% say it's not likely cheating affect the outcome. 22% say likely. And by who you voted for in the 2024 election, still a difference, but not a huge one. 40% of Harris voters say it's likely, 24% very, but 24% of Trump voters say it's likely, 10% very. Which presidential election had more cheating? This year's election or the 2020 election? And again, same kind of signal. 2020, 42% of voters. 2024, 18% of voters. So voters are way more than 2 times as likely to say that 2020 had more cheating than 2024. 20% said the amount of cheating was about the same. Literally everybody said that 2020 had more cheating, except for Black voters, where it's tied 1/3 to 1/3, and Democrats, where the 2024 election wins, but only by 5 points, 29% to 24%. Republicans obviously overwhelmingly say 2020 was more corrupt, 63% to 13%. And independents are 4 times as likely to say 2020 than 2024. So, to quote Steve Bannon here, elections have consequences, but stolen elections have catastrophic consequences. And people have not forgotten 2020, which happens to still be within the statute of limitations. I'm pretty sure discussions are going on right now behind the scenes about an election integrity commission to really dig into elections in our country and give the voters the kind of accountability that they expect out of the federal government. The level of confidence in elections is appallingly low. And listen, America deserves better than to be a third world banana republic, as voters now pretty much kind of think we are right now, especially after the political weaponization of the justice system under Joe Biden's presidency. And now that you see Kash Patel being nominated as FBI director, I can't wait to see who's going to be the CIA director and what kind of people they're going to throw at this election integrity issue. I really think that voters might see the kind of accountability that they've been begging for over and over again. And just like everything else, they vote for something and the people get to DC and they do not get it. And that's why I think the next 4 years, it's going to be absolutely fascinating to follow the polling. And so if you're interested as well, you should follow us on Twitter at Rasmussen_poll or my own account at Mark_R_Mitchell. I should probably come up with a better name for that. And also, if you like the video, make sure you click the like button, follow us on YouTube or Rumble, and thanks for watching.